Okay, and so this third contact is your billing contact. There might be some overlap, but that's going to be who we contact as far as for renewals. So whoever's going to be getting in touch with our team about the renewal process or any billing questions, it might be your primary or your secondary contact, and that's okay. But if it is an additional contact, somebody at your district, something like that, you can put in their information as a third contact. If not, you'll just use one of the check boxes for the primary or secondary to note that that person is also the billing contact. Step 2 is basic school information, and this is just really basic info about your school, such as your address, your phone number, what time zone you're in, what kind of school type you have, your grade levels, just some really basic school info. This can be edited at any time if any of this changes once you've got your setup complete. So just fill out this to the best of your knowledge, but you can go change anything here you want as well. There's also the option to customize some billing information. So if your bills will be going, your billing address is different than your school address, you can uncheck this box right here on the right-hand side and type in the billing information. Otherwise, we'll just use your school info. The thing that is important to fill out here is everything that has the little red asterisk, so that we can make sure that we have all of that information. We have a few different options for school type. So we've got middle school, high school, elementary school. We've also got the option other if your school might be a K-12 or fit into some different parameters there. And then you'll just select your school grades from the box at the bottom there. The third step is your academic year, and this is going to be used to set up all of your reporting periods. So you'll go in and you'll put your first day of school and your last day of school, and then you'll fill out your grading periods. We have 4 different options for grading periods. So yearly is 1 grading period for the whole year. Quarterly breaks it down into 4 different quarterly periods. Monthly gives you a grading period for every month, or you can do custom and set however many you would like. If your school uses things like trimesters or semesters, you can do that. If you have questions about any of those, you can hover over that red I info button and it will give you a brief description. And then you'll just put your start date for each reporting period. These are really important for running reports as well as setting up grading period events and raffles. So would definitely recommend that you go ahead and fill this out to the best of your abilities. If you need to change it after the fact, you can contact our support team and we can make any changes. We know, especially the last couple years, school years have been very fluid and we've had to be very flexible with when our start and end dates are, when our grading periods happen, and what that all looks like. So we're here to support you and change that if you need. You'll just send us an email or give us a call and we'd be happy to help with that. The next thing you're going to do is set up your point or expectation system. We at PBIS Rewards have 3 different ways to set up points. So the first option is a 1 through 10 scale using points only. So for this, staff members can choose to give 1 point to a student or 10 points to a student. The schools that I talk to that use this option typically have some pretty good defined guidelines of what kind of behavior would be worth 10 points versus 1 point, just to help make sure that the economy is equal and that we don't have any issues with, maybe Mrs. Smith gives out 10 points for turning in homework, but Mr. Brown only gives in 1 point. So that's definitely important to think about. The next option is tied to expectations, and it is a 1 point per expectation scale. So you would set up specific expectations for your school, and each one of those expectations would be worth 1 point. And then the third option is kind of a hybrid of those. It is tied to expectations, but the points are on a 1 through 3 scale. So teachers can make the judgment on if a behavior is worth 1 point or 3 points. I will tell you that most of our schools go with the 1 point per expectation option. So if you're not sure what to do, I would recommend going with that for now. And you can always change it in the middle of the year if you find out that it doesn't work well for your school. We have some default expectations, respect, responsibility, and safety in the system for you. But if your school is already using some kind of PBIS matrix and you have different expectations, you can edit those to fit your school. So you can edit them here on the Launch Wizard. You can delete those by clicking the red X or type into the box to edit whatever to match your expectations. And again, this can be edited, so don't let this hold you up from completing the Launch Wizard. Go ahead, stick with the default for now, and then you can go back and change it after you meet with your PBIS team. The next section is going to be adding your student and staff information. There are a few different ways that we do that. So we sync with Clever and ClassLink, which are third parties, and they sync with your SIS. We also have the option to upload formatted spreadsheets. So if you know which way your school is going to be uploading your student and staff information, if you'll throw that in the chat, that way I can, kind of get a good feel for how you're going to be setting up and what we can focus on. So like I said, Clever or ClassLink are both third parties that sync with your SIS. And then you have the option to use formatted spreadsheets and manually upload your student information. Looks like we have a good mix with syncing and manual. So I'll make sure to go over both of those, see some schools that are going to be using Clever as well. So that'll be awesome. If your school uses Clever or ClassLink, this process will be pretty quick and easy. If you're using formatted spreadsheets, it does take a little bit more to get those set up, but a lot of times you can export it from your SIS pretty easily. So the first one we're going to talk about is syncing. So whether you are using Clever or ClassLink to sync with your SIS, this process will be the same. So you'll go to step 5 on your Launch Wizard, and you will see this green Show Synced Students button. And clicking on that will create a pop-up for you. This pop-up will show your information for your students. So first and last name and grade level. The grade level is probably going to be what you're going to want to be mindful of this time of year, especially because some districts put their sync in a pause over the summer. And so it might be last year's information. And if it's last year's information, you can choose to upload it at a later date. So you would just close this and say, upload my students later. But if this information is correct, your student lists are right, they're in the correct grade level, you'll check that box that says the synced data above is correct, and you'll go ahead and click confirm. And then at that point, the system will start uploading them. There'll be like a little spinny bar over on step 5, and it'll just give you a message that says, hey, this could take a few minutes. You can go ahead and go to the next step. And so you can just click next. If you're using Clever or ClassLink, your staff is going to be imported automatically from Clever or ClassLink, so you don't have any action that you need to take on step 6. It's the easiest step of the Launch Wizard for you. If you are going to be using formatted spreadsheets, we do have on step 5 a template that you can download, and that will be the information that we need for your student information file. So you can click on download template, and that will just download the CSV file. The information that we ask for are first and last name, student ID, and grade level. Gender, ethnicity, and email are all 3 optional fields, so you can add those for reporting purposes or for login purposes as well. But the only required fields are those first 4. So definitely want to make sure that you have those. Like I said, a lot of times your SIS, you can do an export of to easily get this information and then just copy and paste it into the template formatted the correct way. This file needs to be saved as a CSV to your computer. And once you've saved it as a CSV, then on step 5, you'll click on the green Select a File button, and that'll pop up your files from your computer, and you can find it from there. Once you've found it, you'll go and you'll see a preview of it. It will look like this. And this is where you can check and assure that your headers are correct so that everything's in the right order. You can use these red arrows to move things to the left or right if maybe your file had your first and last names flip-flopped or something like that. So you'll just move the headers to the correct spot if they are not already there, and then click the correct button. Once you click the correct button, the file is going to check for errors. So you'll see here, I did have some errors in this file. I've got both Alex and Blake that have the same student ID number. So that threw up an error, and that error is highlighted in red. Clicking that red edit icon will allow you to go in and change that ID number to be the correct number. If you need to delete one of those students altogether, you can click the red X in the farthest column there. Once you have everything in the column correct, it will have that green ready checkbox, and then you can move on to the next column. For gender and ethnicity, those are both optional fields. So you'll see I have the option to fix them or remove them. And then once everything is complete, I'll have a pop-up that tells me that I'm ready to upload my students. And all you'll do is click Finalize Students. Once you click Finalize, then those students will be added to PBIS Rewards. If you are returning user of PBIS Rewards, so you used us last year, you'll only need to include new students on this file. All of your current students will remain in the system and have been bumped up a grade as part of the end of year processes. So you'll only need to put your new students on this spreadsheet. If you're using spreadsheets to upload your staff, it's going to look very similar to your students. Again, you've got the option to download the template. The information that we ask for staff is a little bit different. We require the first and last name, the email, and then staff code and gender are optional fields. If you do not have a staff code that your district uses, you can leave that blank and we'll create one for you. Just like your student page, you'll go through, make sure your headers look good, and click correct. Then the file will check for errors. If there are no errors, it'll pop up and allow you to finalize your staff. Once your staff is in the system, step 7 is setting up permissions. So you'll be able to go in and actually give additional permissions to other users in the system right here from the launch wizard. So this is a really good, easy way to make sure that you can split up some of that load of administrator permissions on PBIS Rewards and get some additional help. So you'll just click Set Permissions, and that will take you to this page where you'll see your staff listed, and then there's some check boxes with all the different permission levels. So your primary and secondary will have all of these admin permissions, but then if you want to give anyone else permissions, you can do that right here by checking those check boxes. There are several different levels of permissions, and if you have questions about any of them, you can just click on that red I info box, and it will tell you all of the permission sets and what they include. So what does redeem permissions mean? You'll click on that red eye and it'll say, this person can edit your store, make changes, that kind of thing. So those are really helpful if you want to know a little bit more about what kind of permission sets you're giving. And again, all of these permissions can be changed at a later time within the system. So you're not locked into any of this. If you want to just give a couple people permissions at this initial set on, and then, add additional permissions at a later date, you can do that. But it's all right here for you to be able to quickly and easily give some permissions. Step 8 is where you'll be able to send your staff information about how to get logged in. There's a couple different ways you can do this. So you can select all staff, or you can select from that drop down and choose selected staff and search for staff members. That's really helpful if you want to roll out the system just to your PBIS team or something like that first. You also have the option to send them their login information right now, or to schedule it for a date in advance. So if you want to go ahead and fill this out, but you really don't want your teachers in the system until closer to the start of school next year, you can schedule that date for, your teacher work day the week before you come back or something like that. You'll just select from send options to schedule and select the date from the calendar. And that will walk you through, it'll send that email on the date that you select. And then that's it. You will be ready to launch after you've walked through those steps. So once everything is complete, the Launch My School button on step 9 will turn green and you'll be able to click on it. It'll bring up this pop-up that says, "Are you sure?" And the answer is yes, you are totally sure. You are ready to start using PBIS Rewards. So go ahead and click yes, and then you'll get a nice little congratulations message. On that congratulations message, there is a link that you can click for additional next steps. That takes you to our support site, walks you through some additional resources that we have, kind of those next things that you should be thinking of once you've got this initial setup complete. Like I said, as soon as step 1 is saved, you'll be able to log into PBIS Rewards. Just go to our website, app.pbisrewards.com, and log in using the email and password you set up on step 1. Once your staff get that email, they'll get instructions on how to access this as well, and they'll be able to go in and set up their accounts, set up their passwords, and start playing around in the system as well. Once you're logged in, you'll want to make sure to visit our support site. You can find that by clicking help in the top right-hand corner of PBIS Rewards. From there, there's some really good resources. There's lots of videos. There's some great articles about all the different features and functionality. There's also, that's where you'll access our online chat option. So if you have questions, you can click on our support site, get some help, pop up, and it will connect you with one of our support agents. We are always happy to help. We love talking to our schools, hearing what's working well, hearing some great ideas that you all have. We learn so much from our schools. I can't tell you the conversations that I've had where schools have, asked, what's the best way to do this? And I get to tell them about another school I talked to that was doing something really cool. So again, if you have questions, please reach out to us. There's a few ways to do that. You can do it through our live chat. You can give us a call at 844-458-7247, or you can shoot us an email and we will email you back. Our team loves talking to schools. We love helping in any way we can. So never hesitate to reach out to us. If you have questions about this setup process, throw those in the chat. I am going to do some live Q&A here in the next few minutes. But I just want to say again, thank you for taking time out of your busy day. We know that especially is the end of year craziness. It is a lot to take some time out of your day and come to this webinar. So appreciate you giving your time and being with us today. Looks like I do have a couple questions. The biggest one here I've seen a couple times is, can I come back to this or do I have to finish it all in one sitting? And the answer is you can totally come back to this. You can save it at any point and reopen it either from the link sent to your email or by logging in and clicking on your settings page and accessing it there. If you have not yet received your Launch Wizard link, we are just now starting to send those out. So you should see it coming your way in the next few weeks. But if you have any specific questions about where your school is in the process, just send us an email or give us a call and we'd be happy to help you out. All right. Well, thank you all again for being here. I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, Jill.